Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. Today's video is more toys and not orchids, and these are outdoor toys as opposed to the last lot that were techie stuff. There is no relationship with the orchids, however there is a relationship with the garden and bonsai side of life. However, this is going on the orchid channel. Right. Basically, as you know if you've been following, the decking has collapsed. The decking provides an awful lot of enjoyment for me as a place to relax, sit on the bench with Mojo, look at the garden, watch the bees, the butterflies and all that sort of stuff. And with the decking collapsed, I've totally lost interest in the garden, so I've got to try and pick that up in periods through the winter when working outdoors is not, ridiculous. I'm not working in the rain, I'm not working in the freezing cold. But to be able to do the decking properly, it needs to be cleaned off. There's a lot of moss growing on it and a lot of dirt and grime that's built up over the years, and you can't see the screw heads to take it apart, although at the moment it's virtually falling apart. So I bought a pressure washer. This will also be able to help clean the roof off here, help clean my windows and clean the car to save me paying for a car wash. That's a money saving, long-term thing. I have the car put through the car wash every sort of couple of weeks basically, just to keep the dirt and grime off, and especially in the winter when you get the cold weather they put the salt on the roads. That splashes all over the car, that doesn't do it any good at all. So this will enable me to clean the car as well, along with the other parcel. So I've never used a pressure washer before, I've certainly never owned one. So we will get it out of the box and see what it looks like. Oh, I forgot it comes in a carrying case. Oh, it's quite heavy actually, but the weight in the main is going to be the two batteries. It does actually come with two batteries, so obviously while you're using one, the other one could be charging, if you've got a long project. Manual as always. Right, a Blue Peter job. You've got to put it together yourself. Mind you, that's the way with everything nowadays, isn't it? Well, that's the charger. The mains charger. I shall get one of these on charge straight away. Make sure they're both topped up. Got a little key for something. Hose connector of some sort. You might have to get the manual out, but these are pretty hefty batteries, quite heavy duty. We're running at 21 volts. The other one I looked at was running at 48 volts, which would have been better, that's more power. But this one actually had greater pressure. So I went for the one with the best pressure. Right, that's for putting the foamy stuff in to clean the car with, and I've actually got some snow foam. You put it on, let it soak for a while, and then it's supposed to dissolve the grease and separate it from the car, and then rinse it off with the pressure washer. So it came with one of those. It's also capable of being connected to the outside tap or the end of the hose. To wash the decking off, it might be better to actually, because the hose does reach the decking, it's on a great big long coil, might be better to actually use the pressure washer connected to the hose. That saves carrying the water down and everything. And it might also give it that little bit more oomph to make sure the decking gets cleaned off. That's the water filter. Oh, there's more stuff in the lid as well. That's a hose connector with a tap on it. That could be handy. And that's a hose connector without a tap on it. Well, as I said, I probably have to get the instructions out. I've never owned one of these before. I don't want to start putting it together and getting it wrong. Running out of places to put things with all these polythene bags. They can go back in the box for now. Right, so that's the unit. The only couple of negative reviews that I had were from people who had trouble connecting this up and getting it to work. And I suspect that was men who refused to read manuals and look up instructions. Because it can't be that difficult, can it? It just can't be. That's the hose. So the water filter goes on one end, the other end goes on the input, which will be here. That looks like that's what that's for. Yes, it is. So that goes on there, and then this, the other end of this goes on there. That goes on there first, not second. Because you only have to take it off again. And then that does up and bites on so that we don't get leaks with any luck. And we've got this. I'm not quite sure what that bit's for at the moment. Well, we've established everything else, so that looks far too big for that. So it could be for that. That could enable you to push a hose onto there and bind it with that. That's probably what that's for. There's two of them, so maybe not. And then this bit obviously goes on there. We need the instructions, so I won't bore you while I look at that, but I want to put it together how it says, because there could be an order that you do it in that makes life easier for yourself. So the first job will be to get a battery on charge, see how much charge there is in there, also find out how long they take to actually charge up if they're virtually empty. But there's no way to tell how much charge there is in the battery. There's no way of telling. There's no gauge or anything like that. So, oh, hang on. I've got a spare plug down here. Yes, I have. Let's plug one in because it looks like there's something that lights up that might tell you how much charge you've got left if you're using it. So if I just plug that in down there for a minute. It's only got a very short lead, and that must go in there. I always say if a lead fits in or on a plug, then it must be the right place. Otherwise it wouldn't fit. It's got, you probably can't see this, it's got a button that you press that's got a set of green lights, and at the moment 4 of them are lit up. Can I lift this up for a minute? No is a simple answer. Yeah, you can probably see them. Which implies that the batteries are actually fully charged, but again I would need to look at the thing. So this bit here might only work when it's actually on there. Well, as this battery appears to be fully charged, think that's just a flat bit. I don't think it serves any purpose. From the life out of me. One thing I did think that this one was quite good. They don't all have like a vario speed drill. You know, the more you pull the trigger, the faster it goes, and it's the same with this. You can have a very low pressure by just pulling the trigger a little bit, and then obviously if you push the trigger fully in or pull it fully in, then you get your full pressure. So you can adjust the pressure as you go along without having to turn any knobs or anything. So anyway, I shall take that battery off again. Oh, that's good. The batteries go on and off very easily. That's good. So that's that. I'm just going to put all this back in the carry case and just carry it back in the lounge for now so that it's out of the way. And then we'll open the other parcel. The other parcel goes with this. So that's that one, and then we need this to go with it. It's a bit long for here. What we've got in here is a very long handle, a great big brush, nothing else. That was easy. Oops. So this is to put all the foamy soap on the car, then use the very soft bristled brush to wash the car, remove all the dirt and everything, and then go back to the pressure washer to rinse it all off. This will also help clean the roof up here and also do my windows on the house, or at least the downstairs ones. It extends a long way, basically. It's got a very long handle, very long. And that just slots on the end. I won't put it on now because it'll make it clumsy to use. But yeah, it's got a lockable handle that makes it that long, very long. What's that? 2 meters, probably. 2 meters, so that's more than enough to reach anywhere on the car, across the roof, yeah, all that sort of stuff. And it will also reach the top of the downstairs windows. It'll do all of the side windows on the conservatory, obviously easily, and from the steps it will reach the full length of these roof panels. And again, you know, with a soft brush, that will remove the grime and the algae and all that sort of stuff. What I wouldn't use that for is to get the moss and the leaves off. I've actually got something different for that. It's a, what do you call it? What do they call them? Squeegee, yeah? So it's like what you'd use to get to dry your windows off, yeah? You see the window cleaners with their cloth and then they go along like that. It's like a windscreen wiper with a handle. I'd use that to actually pull the moss down. And the trouble is, cleaning this roof off is now a big deal at this time of year. Round here is ankle deep in leaves and absolutely soaking wet. And to get round here, I've got to squeeze past my maple tree. It can be done, yeah, that would get me to this bit. This bit of roof over here, I have lots of things in the way now because we had to move everything away from the decking. So the table, the bench, bonsai stands, they're all in the way. They'd all have to be moved to be able to get the steps along there to do this bit of roof. And at the moment, I'm not in the mood. The extra light might be a bit useful this time of year, but given the short days, you've got a conflict of interest with orchids. If the days are too short, they don't grow much. Having that little bit of extra brightness isn't going to make much difference to that fact. Trust me from experience, that's how it works. When the day lengths start to increase, you get to a point where plants are triggered back into growth. That point can happen a bit earlier if your windows are clean. Yeah, and that point is out in February somewhere. Wouldn't make much difference to do it now. And also, if I wait longer, then the rest of the leaves on that oak tree will be down. Otherwise I'll be cleaning the leaves off and, you know, one more lot of rain and wind and I'll have another lot to clean off. So it needs to wait, it's not a rush. However, I might go round and do my downstairs windows with this, especially the kitchen window, because when I'm cooking and doing things in the kitchen, it's nice to be able to see clearly out of that window to watch the birds on the feeder. So yeah, might also have a whip round the glass, you know, at ground level, you know, which that would happen with the shorter handle, because it wouldn't need the long handle. It's got nice spongy grips on it, you know, so that's good. Yeah, so quite pleased with that. And that connects to a hose, yeah? So that would connect directly to the hose, which would be okay for doing the conservatory and the kitchen window. Brilliant, yeah? Constant supply of water, and this looks like an on-off switch for the hose. So when the hose is connected, you can stop the water flowing. So that's good. Yeah, so 2 new toys. They will get used. As I said, the car needs washing now. It's absolutely filthy from the last time I went up to Hannah's, and the weather was bad. And the trouble is, with the country roads in this country, there's no curb, there's no stones along the edge. So you've got the verges are just like grass and stuff like that. And you get 2 larger vehicles that need to pass each other, they'll put the wheels on the edge of that grassy bit, and that puts mud down onto the road, and then every other vehicle that comes along in the rain spreads the mud all over the place and you get it all over your car. And that's what some of the roads are like that I have to use. Obviously main roads with proper curbstones and drainage and everything like that, and motorways, dual carriageways and stuff, they don't get that problem. They don't tend to get dirty. In fact, the rain washes them clean. However, the country roads, the rain is what makes them dirty, because it turns the verges into soggy mud, and it only needs a wheel to go along there because it's a very big vehicle or something, and then it's all over the flipping road. So you get farm vehicles going along as well. You know, if they're out working in their fields or anything, they're absolutely covered in mud and everything, and they take that all up the road between the entrance to the field and the farm, you know. And they make a hell of a mess on the roads, and they never go and clean it up. Where I used to live, out in the countryside, where the kids grew up, was on the same lane as a farm. I mean, basically the little village was in 2 parts. One part was that side of a set of crossroads, and the part that I lived in was this side. 4 houses, the farm, dairy farm, and the farmhouse. All the rest of the village was the other side of the crossroads. And obviously if the cows were in the field next to me, then they had to walk from the milking sheds to there, and obviously used to make the road in a hell of a mess. They used to clean that up. And that's the only time I've ever seen it. But you have to remember, two of the farm workers lived in those houses, lived in two of the houses. So it was the road outside their house, if you see what I mean. I think they had a vested interest in cleaning it up a bit. Anyway, that's a couple of new toys that will get used. I will see how the pressure washer does on the decking, but it might be possible to give it a bit of a scrub with this. Obviously these are nylon bristles, so if they get dirty they can be washed clean. You know, I can bring them in and give them a good clean in the sink. So yeah, and non-scratchy brush for the car obviously. So there we go, and I've now got to try and think of something to do for a members only video, which might have to wait till tomorrow now. We shall see. So any members, because it's the video coming up for the members is for all members, all tiers. So any members that are watching this, which I doubt, if you've got an idea of something you would actually like, let me know. Put the ideas in my head. Otherwise I shall have to just make something up. And I'm relatively certain I know what I'm going to do, and it'll just be an update on a single plant. But if somebody comes up with a better idea, we might do that instead. See you next time. Bye for now.